This is just a special review of the first comic book I ever bought, Action Comics 485, cover price $19.35, dated July of 1978.
Plotline would have been they find that Krypton can no longer hurt Superman.
It goes on.
Just reading that plot line right there, I'd say I'm not picking up this book. This book sucks. Now maybe if you had said the plot line was they found that they could stop kryptonite from hurting Superman. Oh shit, I gotta read that story. But that story sounds like a piece of crap.
It was my first comic book.
We don't
Neil
want
Adams artwork.
Ooh,
Classic.
classic.
He was a classically trained
Classic.
Artist.
Yeah, I know. I agree. The artwork doesn't suck.
Thank
Neil
God.
Adams was okay in his time.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
They don't have him write a book.
No, it's like that. Some of the last Batman shit.
Yeah, that was
awful.
bad. That was horrible. Yeah.
All right, well, no, that's fine then. That's fine because this is a great book. I love.
You're gonna
this
trash on me from here on.
No, I'm Phil. I would never trash on you.
I feel it coming.
I don't think I've ever trashed on you on any of these series ever. If the first comic you had bought wasn't Superman, would you not have liked Superman and you would have liked something else?
I probably would have been Batman because
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I know that you can't stand change. So because the first comic was Action Comics, that's all you ever. You know.
No. I used to read The Flash. I had Wonder Woman, Justice League, but I went back to my faith.
To Wonder Woman, yeah. Yeah. We know. Yeah,
The show was much better.
Of course. Have you ever tried watching the Wonder Woman show recently?
It is pretty bad now.
Yeah, it's pretty
when
bad.
When you're 12, it's pretty decent.
No, it was. I loved Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Linda Carter still looks pretty good now.
Not bad
at the
for
age
her
of 88 or whatever, however old she is.
I think she's in her 70s.
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
70, 80, it's all the same now. You're old.
What are you gonna do when that happens to you?
I'm be old. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm not old. Because man, Glenn, you're 78 years old. Yeah, I am an old guy. I mean, yeah, I'm old. So I'm saying people who are in their 70s, 80s, they're old. You're near death, actually.
She's still got it though. She looks pretty good.
Would you do her?
If the situation arose, who knows?
Like at this age right now?
If the situation arose, who knows?
Well, she could be looking for something.
You never know. She's seeing this on this channel.
Donkey dong.
It starts out, Superman is going to a scientist, Professor Bolden, who's working on a K-iron project to make energy from kryptonite. And the machinery that he makes is stolen by a pair of criminals, and they use it against Superman. It's very sensitive to heat, so the heat of a match ignites it. And they point the device to Superman, catches him on fire. He can't use super speed to get the flame out, so he lands in a lake that completely evaporates the lake. And then while he's knocked out, I hate to give you credit, he goes back to an earlier time when the same professor from Superman 233 from Kryptonite Nevermore in 1971, where this professor makes another device that, by using it, turns all kryptonite on Earth to iron and is harmless now to Superman. So he becomes impervious to the one thing that used to cause him all these problems. And Morgan Edge says all power corrupts, complete power corrupts absolutely, or the old saying. And Lois and Jimmy and Perry, they're also, oh no, he won't do that. It won't cause him to do this. So in the interim, Morgan Edge says, I'm going to take you off the newspaper. We're going to put you on the media. You're going to be on WGBS. Now he's worried about how he's going to be able to perform his duties as Superman if he's on a news team, because he could be called up to action at any time. And basically, it goes through and shows that Superman tracks down these people who are going to try to steal this experiment that the professor makes.
Oh my God, I'm bored already.
It's very good.
Oh, I'm already bored. But go ahead, keep on going.
Okay. Well, anyway, they capture the machinery, and they're going to use that against Superman. And he catches them while they're trying to hijack a satellite that's going to be broadcasting for GBS and other stations. And he catches the criminals, but he goes over the spot where the professor originally was working on his machine, and kind of gets dizzy, collapses, and then basically all of a sudden overcomes the criminals and comes back to his old self, and takes care of the situation, taking the criminals into justice. And then of course he wakes up and you find out, oh wait, it's not the original experiment that backfired. It's a new one. Professor Bolden comes in and says, "Oh, I found these guys stole it. What we have to do is work back on it to make sure it doesn't cause any more problems for you."
Typical 70s DC crap. There's no continuity that pretty much goes on with anything. Did he stop the kryptonite?
The kryptonite is gone. It is gone. It's the problem is that this next machinery that the professor
Brought back
created,
kryptonite?
No, it didn't bring it back.
So
Because
it's still here. So where did the kryptonite go?
It's been turned to iron.
Oh, so there's no kryptonite anymore in the DC
There's
universe.
no more kryptonite at that.
No,
time.
in that one issue. But
Correct.
then typical DC crap, the next issue it meant nothing. So basically he woke up. He woke up and nothing happened.
He did. But it tells the classic Superman 233.
That wasn't a classic either, though.
Yeah, I thought it was.
That was
1971.
That was not a classic.
With artwork by Neil Adams.
In 1971 or now?
No, this was 1978. So
this is Neil Adams right here.
That's Neil Adams on the cover.
Well, he didn't do Neil Adams 71.
He did 71. He did the cover. I think Carrie Bates did the inside on this
I
one.
mean, it's good artwork.
Yeah,
It's
see?
classic. It's just a classic 70s
Carrie
artwork.
Bates. Look at that. Carrie Bates. Look at that. Yeah.
But
Rocket to Earth from the exploding
like,
planet Krypton.
no, it looks like he was the writer. Kurt Swan drew this.
No. I thought we were talking about who wrote it.
No, I don't care who wrote it. It's awful. He should never. Carrie.
Carrie Bates.
Is Carrie a boy or a girl?
Male.
Okay, he should never have a writing job again.
No.
Kurt Swan's artwork is fantastic.
Yeah, well.
But I mean, typical to any DC stuff from the 70s. It makes no sense. But the artwork is good. And look at some of the. I want to go back. I mean, I don't want to. This is the first book you ever bought.
Right.
So hey, I respect that, and it's awesome that you still have it. You remember it. That's great, because like I try to answer what my first book was about. I don't totally remember. I mean, I bought a bunch of books. I don't remember. It wasn't like the big thing. But what I want to say is, look at these 70s books to the books that come out today. There are actually words in these books.
Yeah.
There's a page right here. Look at the words on this. Look at the words on this page right here. There's more words here than there are on 10 pages of most of your modern books now. I'm trashing on Carrie. What's the clown's name? Carrie Bates, Norman's brother. I'm trashing on Carrie Bates. At least he could write a story with words, not like most of the lazy hacks nowadays. Who again, I like a lot of their stories, but again, they put these books. They put these books out. Yeah, look at this. There's what? 10 word bubbles?
Something like that.
I mean, you're here. You just read more on this page than you will on 5 pages, even of this Action Comics 1000 book. Right now, the new writers, they tell you a story that could be written in two issues.
They do more.
They do it in six issues.
Right.
So, again, you're still getting. I would rather still pay the. Take it easy. I'd rather still pay the $4 for this book to be $4 than this book to be $4
That's
because
what you told me it would be worth $4.
Yeah, this book is probably worth $4.
It's more than that.
But no, for you it's priceless because it's the first book you ever had. So would you be angry if I ripped it?
You wouldn't rip it.
I could.
No.
What if I had a better copy I would give to you after I ripped this?
I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better copy.
This is not near mint. I mean, I have a graded copy of this 9.4 graded copy. I can pull it out of the grade if you want.
Let's see.
It's at my house. You want me to bring it in? I'll give it to you.
Let's see.
So if I have one, could I rip this one?
I wouldn't want to see that ripped.
So turn your back.
No, I couldn't do it.
No, I know because this has don't reach for it. We're still doing a review. We're still doing a review. Don't even reach for this book.
I told you I was going to get shipped in the back.
Look at the ads, huh?
Yeah,
Clark bars, Zag
Clark
nuts.
bars.
I remember the peanut butter log.
Yeah.
I released one of those.
I
like this. I mean, I like this artwork.
Kurt Swan.
And I think Kurt Swan is decent. And I mean, you can tell it's dated. It's dated to some of the great artists, some of the great artists of today. I mean, this artwork doesn't hold up to me to like Jim Lee and stuff now, but for what it is and this is actually some decent artwork for the time. I mean, no one wants to look. Most people don't want to look at a full book of artwork nowadays of this. We will because we grew up with this.
That's right.
But anyone that's in their 20s and 30s will probably be going, I don't want to look at this.
This?
Right. I would
This
rather
is
look
old.
I'd rather look at something different. But no, I like this because this is when I was buying books too.
Yeah.
So it's I get it.
You'd pedal yourself down to the corner store with your
There
buck.
was a good chance.
Comic or two.
There was a good chance that I may have bought this book.
Oh, good.
No, there wasn't. There was no chance at all.
You never know.
I know I did. I still actually bought some Superman books and stuff in the 70s and some Batman books. Batman was good. I think Batman was really the only readable DC book.
Denny O'Neil was a classic.
Flash was a goofball.
Yeah.
All he did was just run around fast.
He runs fast.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I think Marvel in the 70s is really where it was.
Well, Marvel started to take off really because they told stories that
A good story.
A good story,
Yep.
and they had a continuity. DC, I have to give you credit, they didn't have continuity.
Right.
From one story to the next, it would be something different.
And some of it was kind of silly.
Some of it was silly.
Because as many times did Lois figure out who Superman was, and they announced it all over, and
Then it's all gone.
yeah, it didn't happen. Or
All
again,
gone.
like I had a cover in here.
imaginary
I had a
story.
cover in here where he turned into a balloon. He was
Yeah, that's
floating
back
away.
in the 60s.
Yeah, ridiculous. There's a reason why a lot of people don't want to buy old 60s DC stuff, because it's for the dollars that it is, they're not good stories for that
Well,
money.
that's true. But again, they were trying to revamp the character. He was at that point at least 30 years old. And
I'd rather read a children's book.
Well,
But no, I respect that this is that's your first book, and it's something that you hold dear to. And I wouldn't even if you says, hey, if I had a better copy, I still couldn't rip that up on you, just because that copy I gave you wouldn't have been really the book that you
first
bought
comic,
first. Because I
that's
mean, you
correct.
bought that, you gave your 35 cents of hard-earned money at that time.
I collected cans for that.
Yeah, there you go. Right, and you had to turn you
Return
turned
them to the
turned them in
redemption
turned them in for
center.
aluminum
That's right.
pricing.
That's right. And then we went to turn our bubblegum wrappers in for parachutes in World War II, and
the old what gum was that?
that was Wrigley's.
Yeah. Okay.
They had the foil backing.
What was
and
it? Right. What was the one that had the comic strip in them?
Bazooka Joe.
Bazooka Joe. Yeah, they used to be able to turn in some of those things for prizes and
Yeah,
stuff too.
yeah, see?
See, we're dating ourselves.
I know. I go back to the famous "Tell Me a Good Story," and these stories back in the day, they actually had. Hey, quiet over there. They had a decent writing staff that told a good story. Now, to Glenn's point, a lot of times you'd get one good story in the book, and it wouldn't carry on because they didn't have continuity like Marvel did. Marvel had a story; it went from one arc all the way complete to the end, told a complete story. DC, you'd have a quick shot story. It told a fairly decent story, pretty good story, but the next issue, whatever was done in this issue, was completely forgotten, and you started over fresh. That's the one complaint that you'd have for DC. But again, I think in that time they had some good writers. Carrie Bates was a good writer. Denny O'Neil was a good writer. Elliot Maggin was a good writer. And these were the guys who wrote a lot of Batman, Superman stories. Carmine Infantino had written a couple of stories that weren't bad for Flash. I think today's writers tell more with the artwork. They tell less with the text and more with the artwork, because I think maybe that's how people they don't have time for reading anymore. They just want to see the story in picture, not in the word. But I think the better way to tell the story is in the text. Have the artwork as the backup, because when I was a kid growing up, what brought me into the comic was the cover. If the cover was interesting, I read the story. And then the story usually would pay out because it had some decent bits in it. So I was happy that, the cover was the thing that caught my eye and brought me in, but it was the story that gave me the good information and kept me interested and made me want to buy the next issue to see what was going to happen in the character. I mean, like I said, it didn't always carry through. There were some stories in the 80s that they started to follow Marvel and that they would tell a story continuity. One story, the arc would go on and on and on. To a lesser extent, though, in DC than in Marvel. Marvel was really the preeminent of the full story arcs, and then DC finally got into the act just recently. But other than that, you'd get a pretty decent book, and then the next story would be something different, at a different aspect, or a different writer would take over, and you'd have something different going on.
I rag on a lot of the 70s stuff and whatnot. But I read that as a kid too, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. I mean, again, not that crap, but there was other stuff. There was other stuff that I enjoyed, but I just don't think any of this stands the test of time at all. And that's why I think that's why I rag on it more now, because we are in 2018. We're not 1978 anymore, 71, 72, or anything like that. It's we're not in that. But as a child, I thought that was I was entertained by these books also. Going back and look at it, I don't think maybe 30% of it actually stands the test of time, where you can go back and enjoy it. And I'm going to probably say 4% is probably DC. The other 26% is probably Marvel stuff. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of trashing on it now, but I'm doing a lot of trashing on it now as compared to this book's out now. They're a lot more intense. There's a lot more to it. Except
more action.
Right, except there's no words.
This has the old comics code, so you had to have kind of bland stories.
Yeah, but even in the 90s and the 2000s, they still had the comics code. They weren't as bland as this stuff.
But they didn't pay as strict attention to the comics code as they did in the 70s, the 60s, and the 50s.
So that's why I don't think this holds up. It doesn't stand up to the test of time.
I'd have to agree with you on that point, simply because, again, they're trying, I think, in this time, because comic books were 35 cents. They were geared for kids. They weren't geared for adults. The comics we have today are geared for us, the kids who grew up on these things. And they want to see some character changes, and they want to see some story changes.
But I think the kids nowadays would never buy a comic if a comic was like that, where the kids that are buying the books now, I think they're expected to what they have today. If they actually have to go back and read that stuff, they would never read it.
That's true, but again, I think this was geared to our generation. We were the ones who read these types of books. I mean, you had a different generation of kids back in that time. It was simpler, it was easier. We didn't have the skills and the technology and all the things they have today. And, that's why I think these comics are so bland and so trite by today's standards.
I agree with you a little on that. I do. But, again, though, it's that's a lot of the reason why I trash on these books now, because you can't read them now. Hopefully, 25 years from now, you can go back and read the stuff that's here. But maybe it's going to change again in 25 years, and people will look back and say, how do you read this? Who knows? Or 25 years from now, the writers are going to be so damn lazy that there's only going to be 3 words on a panel, and you're just going to have to be looking at a picture book, and people will be going, oh my God, this book's too wordy if there's 5 words.
Yeah.
I had a customer ask me a little while ago, says, will this book be good for my 11-year-old? I said, yeah, I don't see why not. And then he goes, well, will it be too wordy for them? What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Too wordy. You're reading. If the kid reads a novel, there's thousands of words. So and I asked him, I said, what does that mean? I go, too wordy. I go, is it like wordy? And then I pulled out a book from the 70s and 80s. I says, wordy like this? And then I pulled out a new book, a wordy like this. I go, I don't understand what that means. Is this book too wordy for him?
Well, it's just like you pointed out, action number 1. Look how that differs from what this is here. Totally different storytelling. Superman was more or less a vigilante. He was trying to take care of the little guy. He didn't have half the power he did today, and it's a lot different. Those books 30 years prior.
You know what I'm a big fan of? I'm a big fan of the Phantom.
Yeah,
the Phantom. Like even now in today's newspaper, they still do the Phantom. It hasn't changed very much, but I can go back. Like I just went back and bought the hardcovers because obviously I wasn't around in the 30s to be able to read it.
It's kind of the Man of Mystery.
Yeah, but you know something though, that book held up even after 80 years. That book held up because it was the same thing. Where something like a Superman doesn't, because it was already written goofy. Phantom wasn't written goofy.
Phantom was more or less kind of like a Man of Mystery. He was
a giant purple guy in the jungle.
Kind of a cultish, We didn't know all of his background. There was a lot of mystery to him, and I think that appealed to people then, and it appeals to people today. I think that is the key difference. Superman appealed basically to kids. Kids, that's who they geared that book to. And I think even in the 70s, that's who they were gearing the books to. Where today it's an adult audience, or it's a, late teen, early adult audience that they're trying to write for. And that's why I think you see the difference in not only the stories and the artwork, but, the message being conveyed in the book today versus what it was 40 years ago when I started reading.
Boy, you're old.
I know I am.